hinder you. Don't you let where you've been hinder you. Don't let what they've said hinder you. Don't you let your past hinder you. You're a woman without limits. Yes, you are. Yes, you are. A woman without limits. Yes, you are. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you. There's nothing the enemy can do to stop what God has for you. You're a woman without limits. Woman, 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 woman without limits. Na 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 na. Woman without limits. Woman.
Good evening, viewers. You are welcome to Woman Without Limits. We are going on. I know you are left like this, but we're right back to finish where we began. I want you to know that your story will change. Believe me. Right now you're crying. You know, there are times you can go through such gruesome situations, such painful situations, and you can't even tell the story at that time because it's too painful. But I tell you, at the end of the tunnel, there is light. It may be dark right now, but at the end of the tunnel, I am here to let you know there is light. And you will not only shine, but you will cause others to shine. This is Woman Without Limits.
So that time, I remember we, after the bash now, we went to see the doctor. It was on a Tuesday. I think New Year's. No, that's before New Year's. And now the doctor tells us, your baby has stopped growing at 26 weeks. And
Same story.
yes. And
with
I am
Zuri.
how many weeks? 30 weeks.
Yeah,
So
30.
he
You're
said
30
by
weeks,
26
but
your baby
26
has
weeks.
stopped growing. So I'm like, okay, so what do you mean? He said your baby's going through a condition called intrauterine growth restriction that is restricting her to grow because of how bad your pressures are. Said, okay, so what does this mean? He said, I think we are going to prepare you for an early delivery. And I was like, doctor,
Again, 30
you
weeks.
want to tell me now my child is going to die? 26 weeks, what am I going to do? You know? So I started crying there, and he's such a positive doctor. He told me, hey, why are you crying?
In fact, you almost kicked her out.
Yeah, it's like, actually,
I don't like
have
positivity in my office. I don't like negativity.
Negativity in my office.
Yeah, I don't like it.
Positive. You have to be positive, Ashley. Otherwise, your pressures will shoot. You know, it's not a death sentence.
Yeah.
Yeah, I am doing my best. My team is doing the best. So we just hope and pray everything is going to be okay. Yeah. So I'm prescribing what is it called? The injection steroids to mature the lungs of the baby.
Yeah.
So that in case the baby comes out now, she'll be able to breathe and do everything.
This is on Friday.
And that's on
And the
Tuesday.
injections are 2. No, it was on a Friday.
Friday.
Yeah.
And then the injections are
At
2.
2. It was on a Friday,
Friday
the
and a
injections are 2. So
Right.
we did on Friday,
And another
and
one
then
on
the other one
Saturday.
on Saturday.
Yeah.
Then comes Sunday.
Yeah. All hell breaks loose.
Hey.
Come Sunday, we were just chilling in the house. We wanted to go for shopping, the monthly shopping. And we normally drive all the way to Karen, the hub. So she told me we had the pressure checking machine in the house. So she told me her pressure is high. I was like, maybe that machine needs calibration. Because sometimes, I mean, these things are...
Yes.
Because
They
I
are faulty.
always wanted to be positive. I never wanted to accept anything negative. So I told her, okay, well, we'll go to hospital and check. But she insisted. Actually, my mind was, we're just going to Karen. So she said, hey, you forgot. Let's turn the car. Let's go and get checked in South B. We went to South B, get checked. Before we go to the hospital, she starts telling me she feels like she's peeing. You know? Like she has a continuous flow of liquid.
Hey.
I'm like, you just relax. Let's get to hospital and see. So I got to the hospital, we parked the car. She got out fast. stepping out of the door, she's gushing blood, a lot of blood.
Jehovah.
Yeah, she's
Hey.
gushing a lot of blood.
Mm.
I think I just got confused. I even forgot how to switch the car off. She ran to the hospital screaming. She left the door open. Everything was just there.
And Ren screaming.
Ran screaming. The guards, they sounded the alarm in the hospital. It was crazy. It was just crazy.
So I just walked in. I walked in. I was like, I'm bleeding. And the blood was a lot. It was a lot. And I'm walking, I'm like, I don't think I'm going to survive because of how it was coming out.
Right.
So I walked in. I just took myself to the maternity. It was a local hospital where we stay. There's no gyna, but there were doctors. I tell Ian, call Dr. Yamal right now. Call Dr. Yamal. Calling Dr. Yamal, Dr. Yamal is in Mombasa. We were like, oh my God, what is going to happen? So I think you called my mom first.
Yes, I called mom.
And I can hear him screaming, Mama, Ashley's bleeding. She's bleeding so much. Come to the hospital. Thank God we live close by. So my mom and my dad came in. So I told him, call Dr. Yamal. And I'm trying to be as calm as possible so that my pressure doesn't go up. I bleed a lot.
Right.
So one of the guys told me to lie on my left so that the baby can get oxygen. So Dr. Yamal is being called. Dr. Yamal started giving instructions on what to do. So the doctor gave me two injections, and then I was told, now we need to transfer you to Aga Khan. So we get to the ambulance. By this time, Ian is shouting at every single person. They're like, hurry up, this girl is going. Like, you need to hurry up. Because they're like, you're taking your sweet time.
Right.
He's opening the doors. He wants to be the doctor. He wants to do all these things. So me, I'm just laying down. I'm just trying to remain calm. The other guy is with me checking the heartbeat of the baby. I'm like, do you feel a heartbeat? He's like, yes, there's a heartbeat. So we get into the ambulance. I saw my dad and my mom downstairs. And my mom came with me. So my dad and Ian were behind. So my mom was in the ambulance. Let me tell you, my mom was screaming at that guy.
To drive.
To drive. He's like, Fina mafuta.
Let's hear it from Mercy. You're telling him what?
Okay, so when Ian called me and he was screaming, I got scared. I took the phone and called your mom, and that doctor, and also Ian was calling your mom. And let me tell you, when Ashley says that there are good doctors here in Kenya, the doctors that handle that are very good, and especially Dr. Yama. You know, I called him and he took my call on the first ring. And he was like, yes, Mama Ashley. And I was like, this is what has happened. He immediately told us to connect. So Ian and the doctors on site, they connected now Dr. Yama. And he was able to give instructions to this doctor. And actually that's what he did throughout the pregnancy, because she had a very rough time during that pregnancy. So she used to rush to hospital many times. And the doctor would just call the other doctor and just tell them what to do without us paying his consultation. Yeah, because it was sometimes they would rush there in the middle of the night, early hours in the morning. So it was a very tricky pregnancy. So on that day, when they called us, the doctor told me, Mama Ashley, you have to get an ambulance and you have to get to Aga Khan in the next 10 minutes. And so we were also able to be helped by one of the doctors there because they knew her case, and they told us that the ambulance would be there on standby. So by the time we got there with her dad, they were already taking her to the ambulance, and she was so calm. And so I got in the front of the car, of the ambulance. So I'm with this guy. I nearly did, like the way you can take your agent, throw somebody out of it and take the wheel. I nearly threw him because he was going slowly. And I was screaming at him and I was telling him, drive.
Yes.
Because Dr. Yamal was calling me every 2 minutes.
Are you there
Where
yet?
Are you at? Where are you at? And so this guy, he didn't even know where Aga Khan was. Being a Sunday, the guy who drives the ambulance was not on duty.
Oh.
So they took one of their drivers who doesn't drive it. So he didn't know that you can actually go on the wrong side
Of the road.
So he actually took us to Upper Hill. And he was driving slowly, so I nearly knocked him out of the driver's seat.
To drive yourself.
Yes. But by the grace of God, and I thank God for how God just sets things. Because normally on Sunday at that hour, I'm usually with meetings in our church, because I'm also a leader in our church. But on that day, we were home. And it was the doing of the Lord. Guys were mad at me because we were late. But it is God's doing. Because if I was not there, that guy would have taken Ashley to a nursing home and nobody was waiting for Ashley there. Because what Dr. Yamal did, he made sure that there are doctors waiting for a team of doctors and nurses.
Right.
Waiting. And so we left and it was something else. But by the grace of God, we got to the hospital.
Wow. So you get to the hospital. And Ian, you're following behind.
Hey,
Are you
I was
jogging
bumper
that
to
thing?
bumper. If he goes over pavement, I'm going over pavement. I'm hooting at everyone. Can't you guys see? Leave us. Let's go. Let's go.
Right.
Yeah. So we go to Aga Khan, and then me, I don't know what was happening in the car. So I go to Aga Khan. We get to the security check. These guys want to check my car. I'm like, you guys, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
I'm with her. She's in the ambulance. Let me go.
Yeah.
Oh, niwe umemleta. You know, they're talking to me like as if it's a joke. Yani mimi ndio nimemleta, niko na haraka. So ambulance got in me. Hii si entrance ya ambulance. In fact, they're telling us this is not the entrance for the ambulance. We get
Wasting
out,
your time.
go enter another side. I'm like, the doctor told us we come through this particular entrance.
Yes.
Those ladies there, the team, that's the team of doctors that
Are
have
waiting
been,
for you
are waiting
guys.
for us. So why are you telling us not to enter here? Go and ask them. So they allowed us to, they opened for us, they got in. Ashley was being attended to me. I went, I looked for parking. Luckily, I got a good parking. Karudi Mbio with her things. The next thing I hear, she's been taken to theaters. Do you what? She's been
Like
taken
you
to
went
the
to
observation
theater
room.
directly.
Actually, it
So
was direct.
I think maybe what I can say is
Yeah.
I really thank God for the doctor. Okay, I know God worked.
Of course, he
Yeah.
worked through
Yeah.
him.
I thank God because he organized a team really quick, you know? And that's the best thing about having like a private doctor. He organized his team very, very quickly. When I came in, the nurses waiting for me at the entrance. They wheeled me out of the ambulance. My dad is there. I had an IV something, I don't know. My dad was holding,
It
and
was a
it's
drip,
like a movie. We are rushing. My dad is holding this thing. Nimekwa on the side. We enter the lift. We go up. I meet the team of doctors. My other doctor was there, Dr. Sikolia, and another doctor from Dr. Yamal's office. And I held my mom and I told her, Mom, I don't want to die. Just held her and I told her, Mom, I don't want to die. Please come in with me. Because by then I didn't see Ian. So I was like, Mom, please come in with me. And they were like, it's an emergency C-section. We can't allow you to come in because anything can happen in the theater. And so they don't agree. But an elective CS, you can. That's why he came in the first time. So I'm with the doctor and I'm like, please just, I really want to leave. You know, I don't want to die. And it was so serious because I was losing 700 mils of blood per minute. That's like a big Fanta Orange Plus.
Per minute.
Per minute. That's the amount of blood I was losing. That's why the doctor was like, you need to get it in 10 minutes. It was bad. So I'm put on the operating table. Everything was done so fast. There were like 15 guys in the room. Everyone is making noise. The nurses are like, she's gushing a lot of blood. She's gushing a lot. I'm like, you guys, you just keep quiet because you're not helping me because I'm also feeling the
gush.
pressure. Dr. Sikolia started, and I'm just seeing, you know, they put you the cover, but he had already started operating, and then now they put the count because it was intense. They removed the baby. I didn't hear her cry. So I was like,
There we
fine.
go.
The baby has passed on. It's okay. If God didn't want that to happen, then we lost the baby. Because when in the ambulance, I made a prayer. I told God, okay, God, I think I'm dying. I'm coming. So I prayed for Ian. I told God to give him a good wife if he will ever remember. I told God to really take care of him because honestly, there is no way I would have survived given the condition that and everything was happening. In fact, when we were leaving, one of the guards told my dad, wasichana wanionengianga hivi hawatokangi.
Told your
And
dad?
one of the guards told my dad that. Wasichana wakiingia venye huyo ameingianga hawatokangi. Hey. So I was like, okay.
Very
I
nice
think
man.
I didn't just told God to take care of my husband, take care of my family. I told my mom I love you and everything before we went to the theater. So there's no cry. The operation took quite a long time. And I go in to the recovery room and Ian comes and I'm like, the baby's dead. He's like, no, the baby is okay. I've taken her to Niku. And I was like, oh, okay, sawa. So the baby was born 975 grams.
Yani this
So-
baby made Zuri look big.
Yeah. This baby made Zuri look
975 grams.
975.
Not a kg
not
even.
a kg.
Jesus Christ.
We were like, in fact, there's a time we were having breakfast and there was Blue Band and peanut butter and we held and we were like, this is the size of our baby. You know, these 2 tins is the size of our baby. And what happened in the theater, we have our pediatrician called Dr. Hooker. She's such a lovely lady. The baby came out grey, so she was flat. It's like she was gone. The baby was resuscitated back to life. In fact, Dr. Hooker said when she was being given the baby, she was told,
There is no,
No.
the baby's not there.
so Dr. Hooker was like, no, I have to resuscitate. So she tried and she tried until the baby came back. Yeah? So my baby was resuscitated. Went to Niku. The journey now began. I saw my baby after 2 days,
All over again.
all over again. So the memories are fresh. You know, it's 2018. I've lost my baby. This is 2019.
19, same story.
Same story. It's not even 10 months. I've given birth again. The fact that I had a C-section, it has not healed. I've been operated on the same C-section again, less than a year. I'm having high blood pressure. I'm having intrauterine growth restriction. The thing that caused my bleeding, the placenta detached itself from the uterus. And that's the transportation of blood and oxygen. That's why the blood was a lot. So it had detached. So that's called placenta abruption. So that's why I was bleeding. So it took me such a long time to recover and just get out of my bed. So by the second day is when I went to see my baby. And she would fit him here. And I'm not lying and I'm not exaggerating. She would fit
I know, you're talking
in
to
my
the choir.
palm. And I remember Ian and I, during the first initial periods, we walked in, all the machines were making noise. I remember the machine beeping when my baby was dying. I remember when she was losing her oxygen, I felt like screaming. You know, the nurses were like, can we give you your baby, you hold her? And I was like, I don't want to hold the baby. I didn't want to hold the baby. They gave me the baby. She would fit like this because I was kangarooing. And I'm like, Kayata, where will I hold? Like, what is this God, you know? I'm holding the baby. I didn't even hold her for 10 minutes. I told the nurse, just take the baby. And my mom was there. She's like, enjoy your baby. I'm like, Mom, keep quiet. You don't know even what I'm going through. You don't know, like, how I'm feeling. I really don't want to be here. I'm hearing those noises. They're making me remember so much, you know, in the same exact NICU. Like, my Zuri was on this end, we on this other side. So I passed by the same room, you know, coming to see my other baby. So it was so heartbreaking. So I told the nurse, just take the baby. I don't want to hold the baby. And I walked out. And I remember we were discussing with Ian, and we were like, we don't want to get too attached, just in case the baby dies. We are not fully attached to the baby, because Zuri were all in, we were hoping, and we were like, we don't want to put our hopes high, because
Just in case.
just
When you
in
first
case.
saw her, Ian, what went through your mind?
Actually, I was from the admissions office, because this thing happened in a split second. I was from the admissions office. As I actually came in, I think the lady doctor told me, just rush and get her admitted. Get her, there's a number you get, the one on the tag. So go get that. I went, I got her admitted. Coming back, I think it took like 15 minutes. Coming back, because I know the theater floor. Coming back, I was told, no, she's not on this theater. She's going to the theater near NICU, which was a floor below. So I went there. On the corridor, I meet a Muhindi lady, who is now Dr. Hook, our doctor, and the head of the nurses in the NICU. So me, I ignore them, and then I see a tiny baby being wheeled into the NICU area. So I ignored, because I didn't think it was my baby. I mean, it was so fast. So I passed them, and then I wanted to get into the theater. There's no one to receive me at the door, so I walked in completely. They're like, excuse me, boss, you didn't see the red line, you can't walk in past this line, and you're dressed like that, you've not even sanitized yourself. So I went back out, then I was told, my wife is still in theater. So at the back of my mind, I'm thinking, the baby is still in theater. They're still in theater. Then I think the nurse came back after they took the baby to NICU. She came back, she's like, Ian, come, this is your baby. I'm like, really? This is nice. She's tiny, she's very light, she's extremely tiny. The doctor is there. She's telling me the baby is good. She seems to be responsive. There's nothing wrong. So now I stayed there until Ashley finished with theater, because I kept going back and forth. I stayed with the baby. They put her on oxygen, although the doctor told me she doesn't seem to need oxygen, but we'll just put it just in case, as a precaution. So I was like, wow, this is good. As in, she's from theater and she doesn't need oxygen. She wasn't intubated like the previous baby. As in, a lot of things that were done to Zuri, Amani didn't get. Oh, sorry, the baby is called Amani.
Right.
Yes.
Wow.
A lot of things that were done to Zuri were not done to Amani.
And yet Amani was much smaller.
Yes. So at the back of my mind, I'm like, wow, this is a miracle. So I went back to Ashley after I was told she's out of theater and she's in recovery. I went, I sanitized, I got in, I saw her. She was super swollen more than I left her. I don't know why. She looked different. There was a nurse sitting there waiting, just stand by. Because I think it was really intense in the theater. I never got a chance to go into the theater. So we stayed there with her. She keeps asking me, Ian, don't lie to me. Where is the baby? I'm like, the baby is fine. The baby is actually very beautiful. I think I'd taken a photo. So I showed her the photo. She started crying. I told her the baby is fine. Don't worry. So yeah, I left her there, went back to the baby. We stayed. Ashley was taken. Were you taken up the first day or the second day?
First day.
The same day.
No, after 2 days.
After 2 days is when you went up. Yeah. So after 2 days, she's in the recovery for the really high critical recovery, because anything can happen in between. Yeah. So she was taken. 2 days later, she came to see the baby.
2 days.
Yeah, 2 days
Wow.
later.
Wow.
But me, I couldn't leave hospital. I was just going home, freshen up, sleep, come back.
Yeah.
And I was in Nuku throughout. So day 2, they removed her off oxygen on day 2. I was
Wow.
like, wow, this baby is going to show us things.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So she came up very fast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She responded
She
differently.
responded. In fact, the doctors were shocked because she's very small.
Yeah.
IUGR, it makes you don't grow, so you're very, very small. Even if you're maybe 30 weeks or 7 months, you will look like someone who's 2 months, you know.
Can you explain to us, like, what that is? What stops? What's that condition?
So it's caused by pressure,
Mhm.
high blood pressure. So it restricts the growth of the baby. Yeah. So the baby becomes very small because the pressure is so bad. The baby has no environment to grow, and with preeclampsia, the baby is like a parasite. So unless they remove it, it will worsen and it will kill you. Preeclampsia is actually very deadly. It affects 5% of women. Most of the times you wouldn't tell you're sick. It manifests itself in being swollen and protein in urine, abnormal protein in urine. So that's why it's important for every woman who's pregnant to always check your urine. Yeah? To always check your
Wow.
urine.
Wow.
Yes.
Because that's where it manifests.
Yeah, that's why it
Can you, is it,
manifests.
unless you check, like, what would make you know if you check your urine?
It gets to a certain percent.
Right.
If it gets to a certain percent, the doctors will be able to know the protein is too much.
But you,
So
as a woman
You
at
don't-
home,
you don't
how will you know? You would
You
never
will
know.
you'll
Okay.
never know.
So
You get
so
bad
you're saying
headaches,
we
no?
check at the hospital.
You check at the hospital.
Okay.
You always monitor your pressure. You
Mhm.
check at the hospital.
Mhm.
You also get a lot of headaches. At times your vision is blurred. So that's like the symptoms. But you can associate it with pregnancy. So that's why I'm saying you can't really tell if you're going through preeclampsia
Unless you do tests.
unless you get tested. Yeah.
And so it stops the growth of the baby
So,
at a
yeah.
particular age or any time.
It depends with the level of pressure. It can get very high and then it starts restricting. For us, we knew the baby stopped growing at 26 weeks and we were far ahead. We were 31 weeks.
Yeah.
So I gave birth at 31 weeks.
Okay, now, between the 26 and the 31, since the baby didn't grow, did it help the baby to be in the stomach?
Now, the doctors were containing me. Yeah, I was given medication. I was on junior aspirin the entire pregnancy to help with stroke and also help with the preeclampsia. It kind of reduces it to a certain percent.
Okay.
So the thing is,
My question is,
yeah.
does it, since the baby is not growing anyway,
yeah,
do you
Well, they're
understand?
growing to some extent,
Okay.
but they're not growing as
As
fast as they're supposed to.
All right,
Yeah.
all right. So it's still better for them to be in the womb.
Yeah, to some extent.
to some extent.
Okay.
If
Well,
the-
it is because they say that's why the doctors are trying to push us to the maximum they can get.
Right.
Because the womb is the most conducive environment for the
For the
baby.
for the
child.
baby to thrive.
Yeah,
Okay.
other than out here where
Yeah.
there are so many
Incubator.
airborne diseases,
Right.
even
Yeah.
in hospital,
Yeah.
like it's really contaminated.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it's better she's in there than out here.
Okay.
But now keeping her in there
Yeah.
is also harmful to her because she's not getting all the oxygen she needs.
And the nutrients.
She's not getting all the nutrients she needs because
Yeah.
now this pressure has made the pipes that are leading to the baby,
Yeah.
they're sort of like thick. So when blood is pumping, it's not going as much. It's not going through as much.
Right. The way it needs to.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Because it's like a valve. Also, let me just explain the way I understand. It's like a valve. So if the pressure is too high, it will tighten,
Right.
restricting the flow into the baby.
Right. Okay.
As
I
a
get it.
protective measure, because if that pressure gets to the baby, now it becomes dangerous.
Mhm.
If the blood goes with the same pressure to the baby, it becomes dangerous.
Yeah.
Now that restriction is what causes the baby to not grow because she's not getting what she needs.
Right.
100%.
Yeah.
So say she's getting maybe 20%. So
Wow.
then the growth becomes
Losing the
she's growing,
80%.
yes, but
yeah.
she's
At 20%
restricted.
as opposed to 100.
yes.
That's something.
Yes.
Wow. So how does somebody get that what did you call it again?
Preeclampsia.
Yeah.
So
Preeclampsia.
it's a mystery condition. There's no cure. There's no, the doctors and everyone around the world is trying to really get to know why a woman can get this, why maybe Africans or Caucasians or
Yeah.
what is happening to the body,
Right.
what is happening to the woman and everything, but really there's no cure, and there's no, doctors haven't determined why a woman can actually get
It has no
preeclampsia.
cause.
Oh,
You
okay.
can't.
There's
You
no
can't
cause.
predict it.
You
Yeah,
can't
you
say
can't
this is the
predict.
reason.
Yeah,
Okay.
but it starts at the 20 week. So
At the
it-
20 week.
once you hit 20
Whoa,
weeks, you
yeah.
can
It's always
be
good to
able
do
to,
checkups.
yeah, it's good to, Yeah.
And so if you do checkups, you're saying there's nothing really much they can do
They
other
will
than just
maintain
contain
you.
and maintain you
Yeah.
Yes.
and help you to just survive through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if it gets worse,
Yeah.
now they have to remove
Terminate
the
the
baby.
pregnancy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
Okay. So my question, my other question would be, once it has happened once, does it always have to happen?
So once it happens, chances of it happening again are very high.
Okay.
Every pregnancy can be different.
Yeah.
There are women who have had 2 cases of preeclampsia. The third child, they've never had preeclampsia.
Okay.
It can happen, you've waited, you've gotten a child with preeclampsia 2 years, you try again after 10 years, you get it. So there's no,
There's no telling.
It's
It's
no
really
guarantee.
unpredictable.
There's no telling.
Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
there's
no telling.
Yeah.
Okay.
Woman. Woman.
So Amani,
Yeah, so Amani, by the 3rd day, actually, they removed, and she was small. She was so small,
but they removed
but
all
they
the.
removed, the doctors
There
were
was
even
nothing.
amazed.
In fact, the only
But
thing she had were the monitors,
the monitors for the heart
Yeah.
the oxygen, the one
Yeah.
on the toe,
and the
Yeah.
blood pressure.
and feeding.
Oxygen, yeah.
Feeding. There was a tube for
For
feeding.
Yeah.
Yes, that's all.
She had
Right.
an NG tube inside for the milk, and everything. I was pumping, taking to hospital. It was such a journey, like.
Because you
being-
now went home and left her.
I went home and left my baby, and I think that's the worst thing you can ever do. You know, you just want to go home with your baby.
Yeah.
So every time you leave her, you feel like you've been robbed.
Yeah.
You know. So, luckily, Amani stayed in Niku for 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yes.
That little 900 and.
She was not even. She actually moved to Niku at 1.1 kgs.
Moved out of
out
Niku.
of Niku. So
To
there's-
now the normal
normal-
recovery ward
Yeah.
for kids. Yeah.
At 1.1.
it's called the neonatal high dependency unit.
Yeah.
So there, the children are sick, but not ICU sick. Yeah.
HDU sick.
HDU,
Yes.
you, they can manage.
Yeah.
So I was so frightened. You know, in Niku there are only 2. In HDU there are quite many.
A room has like 6 kids.
You know, at time I feel like maybe when she's losing oxygen, who will tell? Because there are a lot of children.
Right.
Like there's no, okay, there is attention.
Okay.
There is proper attention, but you see,
It's
at
different
Niku,
from ICU, of course.
There's only there are 2 nurses for 2 babies, so every nurse has a baby.
Wow.
So you know that your baby will be. So I was so frightened, but our baby thrived in an
Amen.
incubator. She thrived.
Amen.
She was doing things. She was moving. Unfortunately, we had to have 3 blood transfusions because of how small she was. She needed blood. But what kept us in hospital was her feeding.
That's it.
That's it. She
Everything else was
not
normal.
Sick. Everything was normal.
Come on, put your hands together. That's incredible. So she was normal, she was okay.
She was okay.
Fast forward. Where is Amani?
Amani,
How is Amani?
Amani is God's gift to us. When I look at that child, I see God. She is such a blessing. I see her, she's feisty. She moves around. She's trying to walk. You know?
How old is she?
She turned 1
She's
in
1.
January 6th.
Yeah.
She is small. She's 6 kgs. She's bright. She can understand what you're telling her. She takes instruction. When you tell her bad, she'll stop.
Wow.
I see that this girl, by the time we're leaving hospital, we left hospital last year, March 14th. I was going back to work. I was supposed to report to work in April 4th. And that week, my baby had a blood transfusion. And we were released at 2 kgs, yeah? I couldn't go back to work. So I had to resign and take care of the baby. Then we were hit with another bill after paying 6 million the previous year, 2018. 2019, we were hit with a bill of 2.5 million. And we were like, it's not even 10 months.
Yeah.
We are paying like 10 million on a hospital.
Yeah.
I remember that day, we didn't have money. We went to the finance guy on the day she was being released. And we told him, we don't have cash, but we want to take our baby home. What do we do? It was like, I'm sorry.
It's not
Until
possible.
you get the money, you're going to stay in hospital.
Wow.
And we started laughing, walking at the corridors at Aga Khan. No, like, sasa tutafanya? What are we going to do? Baby, the bill is still accumulating. We talked to our doctor and she was so lenient. She was like, when you guys get money, you'll pay me. Yeah? So you just sort the hospital. So we had a bit of money, we sorted her. And then, just as we get back to where our baby is, we just sat down and we were like, okay, so she's being prepared to leave. Where you have faith. Our baby is being prepared to leave and everything. She's dressed, we're ready to go home. We're laughing with her and we're like, now, where's the money coming from? She's ready to go home. Do you know we got the money to release her
Wow.
out of hospital?
Wow. Wow.
We just
Wow. This miracle worker appeared again.
Last minute.
The 11th hour.
11th hour.
He is God. With a praying mother like this, I'm sure you are calling this God. You are trusting God, Mercy.
Yes, I was. And I remember the day when we reached hospital, all the time that we were in the ambulance, I was being called by some of the ladies that were praying. Because after what happened to Ashley, there were several people praying with me, several pastors, and of course my pastors, and several of my friends. And on that particular day, the strangest of things happened. These ladies that have been standing with me here, they started calling me, where are you? And I was like, I am rushing Ashley to hospital. And so I was called by different people who were standing with me throughout when we learned that she's expecting. So the ladies that stood with me. And so when Ashley was going in, I got a phone call from 3 ladies who were praying with us. And they asked me, where are you? I told them, we are at the Aga Khan, and Ashley has just been willed in to go to the theater. And they told me, Mercy, there's somebody here wants to speak to you. I don't know this lady. Okay? And she told me, we were praying for your daughter, and what she's going through, we went through something like that, and your daughter did not die. And so, we are telling you this. We're going to pray. They didn't know, like, they were calling me in hospital. We're going to pray with you, and you have to go outside and call on God. Don't pray on the corridors. Run where there's the sky. And
Outside, and you need God to hear properly.
yes.
With no walls.
Yes, no words. Because my husband was facing praying,
Yeah.
and I was also praying there.
Yeah.
And they told me, go where there is sun.
Yeah.
Yes, look up the sky.
Direct.
And call on God, and we'll be praying with you.
Yeah.
And so, let me tell you, they gave me other instructions to do. I would have done anything. Yeah.
You ran out.
Run Aga Khan 100 times. I would have done that. Yeah. So I
Whatever.
ran.
Yeah.
And they were on phone and they said, pray. And we started praying. And they prayed some things. premature death.
Mm.
And we prayed. And when they said amen, I said amen. And I knew I was like a crazy person. My husband told me a post commotion. I don't know, because I ran outside and I started praying. I didn't care who was looking at me, who was passing.
You are praying aloud.
I was praying aloud.
Yeah.
Yes.
In the sun.
Yeah. Looking at the Lord of the sky.
Yes.
You know,
Wow.
we prayed, and after that, the silliest thing happened. One of my friends who's a pastor called me. No, I called her, and I told her, pray. And she started praying. Let me tell you, she prayed this. As she was praying, it was like she was inside there, seeing what was happening. After that day, after praying, I met her 6 months later. And she told me, you know, Mercy, on Sundays, I don't keep my phone. And I don't open my phone. But that day when we were coming from church, I was telling my husband, she's called Pastor Vangesh. I was telling my husband, I need to pray for Ashley. And my husband was like, which Ashley? Ashley or Mama Ashley? I need to pray for her.
Yeah.
And when she said that, my phone rang. Her phone rang. And she
Wow.
picked it. And then she said, when she was praying, it's like she was there and she was seeing everything that was happening. And we put two and two together. When we went to see Dr. Yamal, I went to them for the first clinic, you know? Yeah, so I took them. And when we went, the doctor said, you know this baby? That's when we learned that the baby was born flatline. He said, you know this baby had flatline. We resuscitated. We knew that, I think, few weeks on her first appointment.
Right.
So she told us this baby had flatlined. And what people were praying was exactly what this doctor was telling us.
Wow.
And so God was in it.
Completely.
Completely and
Yeah.
completely.
Yeah.
Yes.
No death.
Yeah.
No death.
Because immediately I also got the phone call from Ian. I called my pastors. And so people were praying. And I
Wow.
know God uses people.
Amen. That's right.
And God uses these doctors.
Wow.
But he was the one
In charge.
in charge.
Yeah.
He was the one in control.
Right.
Yes.
Amen.
And so when I see Amani, by the way, she's called Amani Mercy.
Wow. Mercy. Hey. Yeah.
So when I look at her, she's the most cleverest baby you've ever met.
Yes.
She's so bright, she amazes us.
Wow.
The things she does. I mean, don't do anything. She will copy exactly what you're doing.
Wow. Yeah.
Started calling her dad, Papa, like a few months ago. Even
What?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, she's amazing.
She's amazing.
Yes, she is.
That's awesome. Well, you better put your hands together. That's too powerful. That's awesome. So she's a big, beautiful girl.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
She
That's awesome.
We really thank
And you
God
thank
for
God
her.
for her.
Yeah.
Tell me about the foundation. You started a foundation for Zuri.
Yes. So, having gone through preeclampsia twice, I know the dangers of preeclampsia. In fact, during Zuri's time, there's a lady we know who suffered from preeclampsia. The time I was in theatre, she was also in theatre, and she passed on.
The lady passed on.
Yes, the lady died. And some of the people we also interacted with, in fact, most of the ladies who have premature babies are people who have had preeclampsia. Yeah, definitely there are other maternal health issues, but preeclampsia is, right now it's taking a lot of lives, because you can't really tell that you're suffering from it. So because of that, I've started a foundation in honor of Zuri. It's called the Zuri Nzilani Foundation, and it's aimed on helping women who have suffered from preeclampsia. So what we do, we create awareness on preeclampsia, infant loss, and also prematurity, amongst other maternal health conditions. So we really want to help women out there who are suffering from
Wow,
this,
that's
particular deadly
amazing.
disease.
Yeah.
We are working with a lot of doctors to try and find out also and do a lot of research on the condition.
Right.
So we have
To find a
programs.
cure even.
Yes.
Mhm.
We have programs that for social support for women who have gone through such a traumatic experience, something you've never maybe encountered or hoped you're going to have. You know, you usually pray for a normal pregnancy, but then when something like this attacks you, you don't know where to go. Yeah. So we want to have a support group for women to just come together and learn from each other and like hold one another. We also have trainings for health professionals and caregivers, so that you know how to deal with women who have gone through preeclampsia.
Yeah.
See, the hospital that I went to when I was bleeding, they said people come here and
They don't come out.
they don't come out. So there are hospitals that do not know how to treat, especially the estate hospitals. You know, a lot of women die. I remember there was a story back then, a few months ago, of a lady who died in one of these clinics, and it's something that can be avoided. You don't have to die.
Right.
You know, so we want to really train health professionals and caregivers
Right.
on how to take care of women who have had preeclampsia.
Wow, that's really awesome.
Yeah.
So we're going to put your number on the screen, and you can
Yes.
all call that number so that you can be able to get help.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We also do advocacy. For me, I really want to advocate for women, especially women who have gone through prematurity.
Yeah.
And you know, maybe you're working, your baby has stayed through your entire maternity period. You need the money, you know, you need to survive, and you have to quit your job, you know, in order for you to take care of your child. You know, for me, it didn't come second. You know, I've lost a child. I know how it feels. I cannot let go of a baby, and then they're very delicate, yeah. So I would want to see the Kenyan in the corporate sector allow women who have gone through premature births to have an extended period of maternity, yeah. For families, to support families who have gone through it and advocate for them. We also do a lot of research as to why we are getting this. We are working with good scientists just to try and do research on the African woman, because the genotype is different, you know, the way it's affecting a lot of African American women or African women are dying as compared to the
White.
Caucasian
Oh,
woman.
really?
So it's affecting a lot of the
Black.
African, yes.
Oh.
It's affecting a lot of the African women. So we
Oh.
want to know, can we be
Why?
able to find
Yeah.
a solution for this particular disease?
Ailment, and also why the African woman.
And why
Yeah.
our type, our gene type, you know.
Mm.
So the foundation is really to help a lot of women.
Yeah.
Because part of our programs is to really give a lot of trainings. So doing a lot of trainings for women and supporting men as well. And
Even to know how to help the wives and
know how to help your wife.
Yeah.
You've lost your wife through maternal issues.
Yeah.
You've lost a child. Where do you go to?
Right.
You know, a lot of people concentrate on the woman, but what about
The man.
the man?
And also the emotional,
Yes,
you know,
the-
turmoil.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For us, during the NICU stay, a lot of couples broke up. A lot
Broke up.
broke up because they've lost a child. They have a child in NICU. There's a lot of tension.
Wow.
So we saw a lot of families break up
Yeah.
during that period when
Wow.
we were
When you
in
would think
NICU.
they would stick together.
Stick together, yeah. A lot of families broke up. So for us, we really want to capture families and really be there, because we understand the pain. And I believe this pain was not in vain. The death of our child was not in vain. We really want to help people who are going through this. So
Wow.
anyone is going through preeclampsia, high blood pressure, there's a community for you where you can reach me. It's called the Zuri Nzilani Foundation on Facebook and Instagram, and we can get help together.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And we're going to have the number so that people can call you. Yeah. And that's a very good initiative. And you know, many times our pain is what God uses to bring a healing to others. Isn't that amazing? That sometimes you go through so much pain and you think you're alone, you think, but He can't allow you to go through what you can't handle. And the minute you go through it, you can now raise others and tell them it can be done. It's well. See, That's why I love that you already have a foundation to help others, to know that they are not alone, that they don't have to die in that quagmire, that God can pick them up again. Yeah?
True.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you, Ian. Thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Mercy. Amazing. This is an amazing, amazing show. I believe that so many are going to get healed.
Yeah.
May the good Lord bless you and keep you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
so
coming.
much.
And we want to thank God. This amazing couple, their story is just unbelievable. But I want to thank God because they have a foundation, that they are helping others, picking them up to know that you don't even have to die. You don't have to. And you don't have to give up because you lost a loved one. I want you to know that there is a God in heaven. Call those numbers on the screen and you're going to get help. This is Woman Without Limits. You're a woman.